2 streaming services, Rumble and YouTube. I'm super excited. This is the first time I've ever done this. Now, there should be, I wonder if I could see. Nope. I'm trying to look for my chat on this restream to see if I can see you guys. Let's see. That's sad that I can't see the chat in here. Oh, well. Oh, well. I can see it on YouTube and I can see it on Rumble on my big screen here. So welcome, everyone. Beautiful souls, friends and family, soul tribe, Venus lovers. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm pretty excited. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a live. I've been kind of getting the habit of doing it because I really love your live energy. So thank you all so much. And for those of you that have been sending me emails with your beautiful affirmations, I love it. Thank you so much. I had someone let me know this week that I was her shero, and it just warms my heart to know that I'm affecting people. You know, when you're a doctor, you talk to people one at a time, 30 times a day. You say the same thing over and over and over. And maybe only half of them hear half of what you say. But sometimes when you can reach out to people like this through a streaming software and reach thousands of people, then you can get the message out to more and more people. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I thought what I'd do, I went ahead and I made a PowerPoint. I couldn't even stop myself. I wanted to go over the last 3 videos I did that were pre-recorded and see if you guys have any any questions or thoughts about any of that. Then I have a few announcements for you, and then we're going to dive into the PowerPoint. So I'm really excited for what I'm going to share with you tonight. It's kind of a work in progress. It's part of a larger project that I'm working on, but I really wanted to get this message out. So we're going to go through that. The PowerPoint's like 56 slides, but don't be intimidated. It's just to kind of show you an idea and then go into the energy. So me, the last couple of weeks, you guys, I've been working a lot. I've been piling up my shifts because number one, I had one person be out for a little bit. They went out of the country, and so we had to cover for her. But it's okay. The 2 weeks are over, and it should go back to normal now. So sorry about that. But I thought maybe we'd take this opportunity to look at some of that. Also, Hurricane Beryl came through South Texas. They were forecasting that it would actually hit Corpus Christi dead on as a Category 1 hurricane, which, guys, honestly, if you live on the coast, that's not a big deal. But what ended up happening is it strengthened a little bit and turned north, which is exactly what Harvey did. And Hurricane Harvey in 2017 caused a lot of people to have PTSD when this hurricane was coming. So we were like overly prepared. And then when the forecast started showing it drifting northward, we realized we were going to be okay. But yeah, we maybe got 10 minutes of rain. It was cloudy and windy. Houston, on the other hand, got quite a bit of rain. I mean, it was and wind and some damage, and they lost power. And so prayers for them, but thank goodness it didn't hit us. And so I thought I'd go ahead and do the live today with you guys. So how's everybody else doing? Let's see, who do we have? We have Dr. Walker on YouTube, ready for the journey. And Donna's here. Hello, Donna. And then ready for the journey, Dr. Danny. And then Mary Ferry says hi. Let's see if anybody's on Rumble. Nobody's talking on Rumble, but that's okay. Oh, wait. Lori Evan Latham. Hello from Washington State. Cool. I really thought that I could see that in this deal that I have here, but I don't know. Maybe I missed it. So anyway, no big deal. No big deal. All right, let me see. Let's see. We have 7 watching on YouTube, and then we've got 5 watching on Rumble. So that's pretty cool. Sprout Queen, so glad you weren't affected. Yes, thank you. So what I'm supposed to be able to do, you guys, with this new streaming deal that I've got is I'm supposed to be able to share your comments. And I really wanted to do that, especially if y'all have questions, but I really can't see where that is on here. So I'll have to figure that out. for the future. But hey, at least we're streaming on both channels right now, which I think is pretty impressive, considering I am not all that technically savvy. All right, well, let's get into it. I think I want to share my screen with you and get into this presentation. So we're going to share entire screen and highlight that and hit share. Is the sound okay? Can you guys hear me? Obviously you can if you're listening to me. But I think I've got the volume where I want it. Yeah, okay. Good. All right, let's see what we're sharing here. Let's get into this. So yeah, for those of you that are in the Business and Financial Astrology course, the first 3 modules for the content dropped this week on Sunday. I hope you guys are enjoying those. It's a lot of material, isn't it? I mean, it's like a lot. We went, those 3 modules take you all the way from the sun to Pluto. And then on Sunday, I'm going to drop for you the last 2 modules for the first half, and it will include the financial houses for the businesses. So we'll go through businesses and transactions in terms of financial energy. And then you will also get examples. So we'll go through my business chart, we'll go through where I work, and then we'll just pick a trade stock and look at it. We'll look at through the lens of those cycles. And then next Saturday on the 20th, we're all going to get together and you guys can ask me anything you want about everything that's been presented so far. So the second half of the course after the 20th, I will teach you how to do this reading right here, this purpose and prosperity reading. So that should be pretty cool. You guys will really, really like how we do that. If you don't want to take the class, but you want to learn about you want to learn about your own personal prosperity, I do this reading. So those links are below. It's not too late to join summer school. And then, of course, there's session 2, which is coming in August. And our dear Don Bird with the Fellowship of 13 Signs is going to teach that class. And I'm really excited about it. He's doing a lot of background work right now. We're going to meet in a couple of days and hammer out some details. So you guys should be getting links in a few weeks here. All right. So let's review. Where have we been? What have we been doing? This was our last live about 2 weeks ago, and I was talking about Saturn going retrograde and Neptune going retrograde. And I don't know if you all have been feeling that. I really have. I mean, Saturn, when he's direct, you feel kind of under the gun. You feel pressure. You feel like you have to achieve. And then I feel like whenever he goes retrograde, it's almost like he's, it's summer school, like or it's summer vacation. The teacher's out, you can relax, you can study at your own pace and kind of get things done the way you need to. And time just feels easier to work with when he's retrograde. Same thing with Neptune too. I was feeling that Neptune might actually lift the veil a little bit and give us some insight into what our purpose has been. Neptune, yeah. Donna says she's been very tired. I have too. I think that's the solar flares though. I think having the sun being as active as it is right now is really hard on everybody, on their body. I know I've definitely had to do some extra sleeping, but that could also be just from working as much as I have been too. So let's get back into it. So yeah, and then the eclipse points. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a couple more slides. And then Mercury has gone into Cancer, and so has Venus. And so here's what this feels like to me. I kind of imagined going from those airy sort of mental energies of Gemini, like taking a plunge, holding your nose and taking a plunge into the deep waters of Cancer. So that's what I've been feeling with that. And then, of course, this whole serious energy, that very serious new moon that we've had. And the presentation I did for you on Star Sirius got me thinking, how could I share what it is we do with constellational astrology and why it's so important? And it became kind of part of what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. All right. Let's see. We've also had a Venus video come out. So I wanted to just remind you about those Venus energies. Right now we're in the middle of a Lilith and Venus and Saturn grand trine. That's what we're feeling the early part of this week right here. And that's going to fade off as we get into this coming weekend. But what we're going to, so as Mars moves into Taurus, which is tomorrow, and then Mercury moves into Leo, we're going to hit what's called an eclipse point, another eclipse point. But this eclipse point is for the future eclipse that's going to happen on October 2nd. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. That's also coming. So whatever energies you're feeling that day might be a clue as to what the, what the eclipse is going to be for you. So, maybe be ready for that. And then Venus moved into Cancer on Sunday. So this is the week we're in right now. I know it's hard to see with all these lines, but these are just the energies that are Venus is affecting right now. She's ending her square with Chiron, which is nice. Chiron will actually go retrograde later in the month, I think on the 25th. So that will feel like, that will be insight into the wounds. That will actually, you'll be like, look what I accomplished. Look what I healed. Look what I integrated. So I like that when Chiron goes retrograde too. And then next week we get Sun in Cancer. So we're finally out of Taurus or out of Gemini season with the Sun, and we're going into Cancer season. And before that happens, we have Venus opposing Pluto. Now, whenever the personal planets come through this part of the sky, as Pluto is opposing them, this is a purging energy. So Mercury did it just a few days ago, energy coming to the surface. Now Venus is doing it. Sensations are coming to the surface, and now the Sun is going to come through. And so everything will be revealed. It's a purging. It's things that no longer serve are going to be pushed to the side. Last year when this was happening, I got deathly ill and went on an involuntary 5-day fast. It was crazy. So be very gentle to your body as the personal planets cross over that opposition point to Pluto. But as we get into Cancer season, those tough energies wear off, and we have Venus trining to the North Node, sextiling the South Node, and then a sextile to Jupiter. So that should feel really nice as we move into the Sun in Cancer. Did everybody see that good, fast, cheap triangle? My little life hack? This is great. If you want something really good, really, really good, high quality, it's going to be expensive and it's going to take a while to get. If you want something quickly, it may be low quality and you may have to spend a lot of money for it. Same thing if you want something really cheap, you're going to have to spend a lot of money and you might lose quality. So any decision that you have to make, the point I'm bringing this up is because, sometimes these energies in astrology bring us to decision points where we have to make decisions. What has to go? What has to stay? What do I need to do? What action do I need to take? So this is a nice little life hack. You can just kind of put this triangle in your mind and go, okay, what is my goal here? Do I want it to be really high quality? Do I need it really quickly? Or do I need it to be cheap? And so then you can make these decisions without, having too much emotional energy involved into it. So that's really helpful. All right, here's the sky today, right about now. Oh my gosh, I timed that perfectly. That's crazy. Ophiuchus is rising, so that's fun. And then we've got Venus in Cancer, Mercury in Cancer. We just talked about that. We have a Leo moon. The moon's conjunct the star Regulus in the midheaven, right, or just beyond the midheaven right now. And then we have Mars about to enter into Taurus and making a tighter and tighter conjunction with Uranus. So all this energy right here, guys, is on my ascendant. So it just seems really perfect that I'm bringing you kind of a new thought, a strange thought, a thought that might be a little bit ahead of its time in this presentation that we're about to go into. So I just love that. And then Mars is there saying, yes, take action on this. And anytime, I feel like with these two in Taurus, this unexpected action, this metamorphosis that we're all going through is grounded in solid values. Grounded in solid things that are good for us. So I feel really good about what I'm about to present to you. Let's talk about one more thing, and then we'll get into it. You guys saw the last one, right? Ripples in time. So this is another idea that I'm working on. This is basically the idea that if we are in a fourth dimensional space-time, time-space, if that's where our souls and our spirit actually reside, then we don't experience things linearly up there. And it's all energetics at frequencies, energetics at vibrations. And whenever you have an event like an eclipse, which is predictable, like we can tell where they are, when they're going to be, we can do it with amazing accuracy. Like, for example, you can Wikipedia this and find out the exact time and space and all the eclipses that are within its cycle, which is, by the way, synchronistically Soros cycle 144, which also struck a chord with me. It's like, the 144,000, I'm the the spiritual warriors. That they're not here to wake up the sheep, they're here to wake up the other lions, right? So I just love that this cycle has that number. It's also the 13th number in the Fibonacci sequence, which is also sort of synchronistic. But basically in this talk, I talk about how time is not linear, and that, well, in the in 4 dimensions of space, time is, Linus of Gaia asked if time was a 4. It is when you're talking about, when you're just having that sort of what we're in right now, 3 dimensions of time, 1 dimension of space. In the 4th density or the 4th dimension, which is more of a spiritual dimension of frequency and vibration, then you've got 11 dimensions of space and 2 dimensions of time, or 3, I think. So time is time is everywhere all at once in these higher dimensions beyond where we perceive things. So it ripples outward. When you have an event like an eclipse, it ripples outward, forward, and backward in time. And the point of these eclipse points is that the moon is going over that degree where the sun and the moon are creating that solar eclipse. And for this particular one on October 2nd, it's going to be 17 degrees of Virgo in Constellation. And I want to say it's 10 in Libra. Someone pointed that out to me the other day. So if you're doing tropical, it's in Libra. If you're doing constellational, it is in Virgo at 17 degrees. So whenever the moon hits that point, that's called an eclipse point, and it's a pre-eclipse point. So anything that's happening within that energy, you'll be able to see or get a taste of what it is. And it should increase in intensity as you get closer to the eclipse, just like the post-eclipse points will decrease in intensity. It's an attenuation outward. Yeah, and here are the dates for that. So 7/12, 7/9, or 7/12, 8/9, and 9/5, and then 10/2 is the solar eclipse. So I'm doing readings for you guys. If you want to do that, that link's below. You can check that reading out. All right. Everybody good on that? Okay. Oh, I see. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, good. I'm glad I was able to see. That's why the live energy is so good, because if you guys have questions, I can make sure that I'm getting through to you. So we are in the middle of a cosmological shift, you guys. And I want to say that I don't know where the point actually started. The current belief is that the Mayan calendar ended in 2012. Some chronologists say it's off by 100 years. Some people say we're in the Aquarian age. Some people say we're off by 100 years. There's a lot of nebulous dating around it. But I think any of you that are sensitive to the energetics know that we're in the middle of something. We're in a liminal space. If you're not there personally, then you can feel it for the collective. It's a huge shift. It's a big shift, but it also takes a lot of time. It's a shift that takes a couple of 100 years for it to fully play out and to manifest. And we, my friends, are in the middle of it. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second because I want to make a point real quick that everything that I'm about to go through, I am not in any way, shape, or form, for those of you listening to my voice, disparaging any person that practices tropical astrology. I want you to understand that. I value your studies. I value the work you do for doing what you do and helping people through their personal troubles and struggles by reading astrology. It's not the astrology, it's the astrologer that's important. Okay? What I'm trying to do is to help those of you that feel the nagging, that feel there's a change and happen to fall into constellational astrology, how to think about it so that you can think of it as a paradigm shift rather than having to change people or change the way that they do things. There's a long history to this, to why there's 2 different systems or even more than 2 different systems. And the reason that I personally choose constellational astrology is my personal choice. So whatever it is that you do, if you do it from an authentic space, then I applaud you for it. And I'm happy that you do it. I'm just going to show you a different way to look at the sky, a different way to look at the hero's journey, to maybe explain to all of us why we feel like we're in this space and where we can go from here so that we don't feel lost. So that's the whole purpose of this talk. It is not to disparage anyone. So I want to make that really clear. If anybody has a disagreement with me, I love that, as long as it's polite, well articulated, and thoughtful. Okay, please feel free to comment with that. If anybody comes at me with an insult, that's because they think I insulted them, and I want to say this right now that is not the case. I'm not insulting anyone. So let's do this. Let's get into this. All right, we'll put that down. Get back into this. So around the year 2012, a large chapter in human history will be coming to an end. All the values and the assumptions of the previous world age will expire, and a new phase of human growth will commence. So that's what we're looking at here. This happens slowly, imperceptibly, and it's happened before. There was a whole slew of gods and goddesses that circled the pole star every year. They were called the Eternals because they never set. Whenever it would become nighttime, they would be there and they would stay there in the sky. They would never set below the horizon, no matter what season it was. And the northern cultures of the Americas worshipped the pole stars and the Eternals that circled around the circumpolar asterisms that they called constellations. They identified their gods with these constellations. And as this culture had to move southward due to climate change and civilization pressures and things like that, those gods began to set. They began to go away. They began to get lower and lower in the sky, and they feared for the end of their cosmology. So there was a shift for them at this new age. They began to create a new cosmology where they identified their ancient stories and their ancient lessons and their ancient wisdom in those of the zodiac. Okay, and this is happening again. But this time, I personally believe that the shift is happening between the equinoxes and the solstices. And I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. But the system that we have now in Western tropical astrology focuses on the equinoxes. It puts spring as the beginning. Aries is the beginning. It's the new fresh season. And I love that. That's a beautiful energy. But with the last new moon that we had, I realized that conjunction between Sirius and the moon and the sun used to be the summer solstice for the Egyptians. And now it's about a week later, but that's because of the amount of time that's lapsed and because of a phenomenon called precession. So things move in the sky. It goes really, really slowly. It takes 26,000 years, 1 degree every 72 years. It's almost imperceptible in one lifetime. So what are we to do, especially since this last age, this age of Pisces that we're in, began at the end of the Aries age, right? When tropical astrology began, because that's when spring was on the eastern horizon that morning. It was in the constellation of Aries on the rising sign. Let me actually go into a chart to show you what I mean. I can prove it to you. So I went back in our Prometheus Capricorn software. I went back to 1501 BC. And this is the first day of spring in 1501. Look at where the sun is. It's in Aries. Yay, this is Aries season. This is beautiful. This was a time when there was fresh new energy available, and the equinoxes highlighted that for people. So it makes sense that you would start your cosmology in the constellation of Aries, and you would go in a clockwise fashion. But then what happens over the years when you're told you're not allowed to look in the sky anymore? In fact, you get burned at the stake or excommunicated or put in jail for using a telescope and looking at the sky. What has to happen is your practice goes underground. You use a very simple system of 12, which is a magical number, just mathematically speaking, because it's divisible by 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, all those numbers, everything except for 5 is basically, you can divide 12 by that. It's very symmetric. Symmetry is beautiful. Symmetry is perfection. And so you take that system of the sky and you put it into that 12 pi slice, and you just keep that wisdom alive. And that is what tropical astrology has done. But here's where we are now with the spring equinox. The sun's in Pisces. It's deep in Pisces. So what will happen in another 200 years is the sun on March 21st will be in the constellation of Aquarius, and we will be in the Aquarian age. Okay? That's what we talk about when they say the Aquarian age. We're not there yet, but we're also not in the age of Aries anymore. We're not there anymore. We've been lost and in the midst of the Pisces age, where we're just about to lose our grasp on that spiritual energy. And now we have an opportunity to take it back. Everybody doing okay? You guys follow me so far? I would like to say that perhaps we need to look at the solstices again. Just like the ancient Mayans did, just like the Egyptians did. If we take our gaze and put it at the galactic center, which is where the winter and summer solstices, the winter is for the northern hemisphere, that alignment of sun moon lines up to the galactic center. And then during our summer solstices, which we talked about a month ago, the sun and moon lined up to the silver gate, which is absolutely on the other side of the zodiac. So you've got the silver gate and you've got the golden gate now. And these correspond with our summer and our winter solstices. And the Mayans were watching that. Okay? So just keep your eye on Taurus and Ophiuchus. So another reason that astrology was considered sort of not even, well, it wasn't accurate in the 1800s either, but the Age of Enlightenment came along and we advanced technologically so quickly that we left all of our spiritual beliefs behind. We left all that ancient wisdom behind. And so here we are at the precipice of this new age, and our ability, our spiritual abilities are overshadowed by this immense leap in technological know-how that we need to catch up. We need a new cosmology, you guys. Okay? This is not relevant. That's not relevant. But the current zodiac that we're in right now, this is from the Hermetica. It basically says that we're trapped here. We're trapped here in the zodiac. By leaving out Ophiuchus, by leaving out that 13th sign, which for my life journey, for the life journey I'd like to propose to you, is the portal in and out. Whereas if you cut off that 13th sign, there's no portal. You're destined to loop through this over and over and over again. And the way I'm about to explain it to you is that there's a door. There's a door out. Okay? And even the Bible talks about it. You know, how we're trapped here. But if we know the stars, if we know the stars, we're not trapped. So once again, here you have the galactic center, which also shows you that there's another galaxy that we're kind of going into its energetic bands right now too. It's another reason why we're all evolving so quickly. But here's what you can see when you're close to the equator and you're watching the sun go up and down through the seasons. What you see is this spiraling energy where the sun is at the height of the sky, and then it spirals down every day until you get to the winter solstice. So it's almost like the winter, when the sun comes back, is the beginning, and the summer is when you're at the peak, at the height of the solar energy, and it's right there at the silver gate, reflecting back to the golden gate, and then it spirals back down again into the winter. There's an ebbing and a flowing of energy as we go from the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere, in the energy of Ophiuchus, to the energy of Taurus Gemini. Okay? You can see their symbols on their ancient art as well. This is what they were watching. They were watching the solstices, is my whole point. The Egyptians were watching summer, and the Mayans were watching the winter. And they knew this. They knew this 5,000 years ago. So, and also, sort of synchronistically, is the end of the 13th Bakdun, was this date in 2012, 12/21/2012. They saw it in the sky. They saw it moving. So I'm going to prove it to you again. What I did is I went back in time 3,000 years or almost 5,000 years to show you where the December solstice was in the sky. It was in the constellation of Capricorn. And so over time, they watched as these constellations and the sun drifted towards the galactic center. They saw that and they anticipated it. To have the idea that the Mayans or the Egyptians were a primitive people is so silly. I mean, they probably knew math and calculus and were able to predict and calculate and forecast better than some of the meteorologists around here. So here's now. This is just the December solstice right now. I think they are off a couple of years. I don't think that we are quite there yet, but I think we're feeling it. I think as the sun on the solstice point gets closer and closer and closer to this point on the galactic center, I think we're going to be closer and closer to that shift in the age. It'll be a whole new cycle once again. That whole 13th back tune would start over again here at this point. And I think that was their original intention. So I hope that's clear. I hope that makes sense to you guys. The resistance to it, I feel the resistance to it when I do it, when I do readings, when I do the YouTube channel. I get a lot of comments where people just don't want to hear it. They're triggered in some way. They say something mean about me, or they try to educate me, and I think the resistance comes because it's something that we've always done. And on top of that, this is the knowledge of Ophiuchus is very powerful. It's ancient knowledge. It taps into the Kundalini, which is the God source running through your physical body. It's literally the copulation of the cosmic and the material Mother Earth, creating each moment. I think it helps us have a cosmic perspective. Like we know our place in the galaxy. We know that we're a sovereign power, and we can gain creative inspiration and energy while we're in service to others. And it creates a legacy. You leave behind a legacy when you live your life like that. And that's your key to immortality. So, there's a choice we get to make down here in this world. Are we in service to self, or are we in service to others? And using this knowledge in service to others is where we're going. Using it in service to self is where we've been. And the talk I did on Sirius, where we talk about precession a little bit more deeply, really brings it home. Precession literally changes everything. And so here we are at the cusp. We're at the cusp of this cosmological shift. That's why humanity feels so anxious and so disconnected from spirit, because our old cosmologies, everything the way we used to do it, is fading away. It's necessary. It's the end of a cycle. It's the end of a very long 26,000 year cycle. So let me just check in with everybody. Let's see the chat. Lioness of Gaia, thank you so much. Yes, exactly. The hidden way home, overcoming this reincarnation wheel. And then Donna says, my special spirit here is that people resist because they feel confused and angry to realize they are using or following a system out of alignment. And I think that's true. But it's serious. I'm going to get a little emotional here, because I actually had a beautiful conversation with someone earlier today about they've been a tropical astrologer for 25 years, doing healing work on people, really living a good, blessed life in service, and is coming to the realization that the tropical astrology isn't like the sky. And it dawned on me that there was some kind of, there's this, not just cognitive dissonance, but also like, what have I been doing? Have I actually been helping my patients? Have I been actually helping my clients? And so my whole point is there's a lot of good and beautiful people that are doing astrology that's tropical. And it's okay, as long as you're doing it in service. It's not time to switch yet, but it's coming. The cosmology is coming, and we are going to have to change. Oh, that Leo moon, whew, gets me so emotional. So this hero's journey that I want to share with you, it's pretty similar to what we've been working with our whole lives and all of our previous incarnations. It starts in Aries in the spring and it ends in Pisces, using the backdrop of astrology and following the progression of the signs in a counterclockwise fashion. This procession of archetypes has been programmed into our collective subconscious and reinforced through the prolific use of tropical astrology since the time of Ptolemy. Classical and contemporary fiction and nonfiction authors use the hero's journey's arc to tell relatable stories and teach time-honored wisdom. Our subconscious minds absorb these stories like a sponge, soaking up the underlying familiar archetypes of an eons-old plot. We watch, we relate, and we mimic. Now, whether you follow astrology or not, your life and the decisions you make are woven into this playbook of life. And here it is. I forgot the name of this guy. I think I might have cited him later. But at any rate, this is a very famous arc for the hero. Basically gets a call to adventure, gets a call from spirit, and then goes into the underworld, right? Goes through this threshold, challenges and temptations, and then reaches the cave, where you strip all away everything that you knew before, and you are reborn and you transform, and then you have the gift of the goddess. And when you come back to the place you started from, your perspective is now so different that what you were doing here almost doesn't even matter anymore. And then you're called to the next adventure. And so you're in this spiral. You're in the spiral of evolution, of soul evolution. And this is actually 17 steps. If you use the person who wrote this, if anybody, yes, Joseph Campbell, thank you, Lioness of Gaia. Joseph Campbell brought this out, and we use it a lot. You can truncate it into 12 steps, which a lot of astrologers have done because 12 is so beautifully symmetric. It's so perfect. And you start with the ordinary world, and you have your call to adventure, your refusal of the call, your meeting of the mentor, crossing the threshold, test and allies, the approach, the ordeal, the reward, the road back, the resurrection, and then reborn with the elixir to start all over again. So it starts up here in Aries, and then you follow you actually follow counterclockwise on a chart. You go from Aries to Taurus, Taurus to Gemini, Gemini to Cancer, Cancer to Leo, etc. Right? And you skip over that doorway and you just keep going. You just keep doing that loop over and over again, season after season, year after year, lifetime after lifetime. So Aries is normal consciousness. It's the place of birth and the starting point for the rest of the journey. Taurus is the call to action. The values are tested here. Gemini is the refusal before the acceptance. The thinking mind has to integrate it and make a plan. Cancer is where we find the mentor. A new family or a tribe emerges. And Leo is where we cross the threshold, fame and bravery. Virgo is the realm of tests, allies and enemies. Mistakes are made and improvement follows. And there's a development of a skill here. Now Libra is the approach to the larger battle, the last chance to be prepared for the final transformation. Scorpio is the ordeal phase of the hero's journey. And the hero here faces his or her ultimate challenge. Let's just skip over Ophiuchus and have Sagittarius grant us the reward. The quest is won and the reward is wisdom. Capricorn paves the road back. The hero now has visions of a greater future. And Aquarius urges the hero to battle for the future of humanity itself. He or she is thus resurrected to endure one last battle adventure to secure victory. And Pisces ends the journey. The hero experiences his or her old existence anew and wholly transformed. The hero is reflective and wise. So there it is. That's what's ingrained in our subconscious. You guys can probably relate to this story very, very much. So in this model, it goes clockwise. In this one, it goes counterclockwise. So you ask yourself, there's a clockwise house system that's out there. Some astrologers use it, and they use it to help you cope with the karma, to go with the flow. And so I thought to myself, Well, what if we went clockwise, like precession? So precession drifts clockwise. The sky drifts clockwise. Why not have our journey, our soul's journey, drift clockwise? It's an inevitable journey, yes. We choose to go through this, so we must go through it. So why not go with the flow? So I want you to just forget the zodiac right now and just imagine yourself with the creator. You're one with the creator. You are the creator. And it's beautiful and it's timeless and it's wonderful and it's immortal and you have a thought. You want to embody. You want to experience your co-creation with yourself as a third dimensional human. So it begins with a thought form. And then you individuate and descend as a soul into this realm. This was there mostly to remind me, to remind you that if you're enjoying this presentation, please give me a thumbs up. It doesn't cost you anything, and I really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. Please keep chatting. I really appreciate that as well. And then subscribe if you're on YouTube, or follow me if you're on Rumble. And then, of course, join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. I post there almost every day. We have a few people that write some dailies and their thoughts about astrology. And also, it's just a great place to come and ask questions if you have anything going on with your astrology. So let's see if we can start from this thought form that descends. And here we descend. This is where it happens. It starts in Scorpio. Let's actually take this journey clockwise, shall we? We're going to go this way. And I know it'll feel weird because a lot of us are used to going from Aries to this way. In fact, when I write out some of my resource documents, I start in Aries and I go all the way around. But sometimes I'll start in Scorpio and I'll go the other direction. Just because sometimes this just feels right to me. And I actually have been for several years now in secret using this pattern on my clients' charts. And it's very, very helpful. So we're going to go through it. All right. Here we go. Lioness of Gaia says, I have almost given myself a new complex over which way to walk laps. Yeah. Or ley lines, yeah. So let's start in Scorpio. We have that thought form. We now are an individuated soul. We're not embodied yet. This is the first death. You still have all of your memories of previous incarnations, of your connection to source. You know where you've come from, and you know where you want to go, and you know exactly how you want to accomplishment. The amount of quote unquote time that you spend here, this is all my writing, by the way, guys, depends on the number of factors to include when you want to be born, which parents, and the circumstances to which you would like to be born, what you want to experience. But remember, time is different in these realms. 100 years feels like moments among souls awaiting the ultimate embodiment into physical form. Any planet here in Scorpio will imbue your embodied soul with gifts and lessons from the realm of the Creator. Here, you learn the secrets and the skills for spiritual living and healing. Then you move into Libra. So we were here, and now we're moving into Libra. You're still not embodied here. This second step allows you to take into account your previous incarnations, your previous lessons. Is there any unresolved karma that your soul needs to clear? What experience would you like to have during this incarnation? This is the realm between two worlds. Your soul will decide your astrology, meaning when, where, and by whom you will be brought forth into physicality. This is a space where you might even visit your new parents in spirit form while you're here. I feel like any planet in Libra will give you a clue as to what karmic issues need to be learned and resolved during your incarnation. Here, you map the template of your life with the goal of balancing any unresolved karma and learning valuable soul lessons. So this is soul journey, okay? This is not the physical incarnation of Tropical. This is the soul's incarnation from the beginning to the end. Now, you're in Virgo. For those of you that listen to me, you probably know how I feel about Virgo. I do not feel that Mercury should be the ruler of Virgo. I think we got that wrong. I think Venus should be the ruler of Virgo because Virgo is the birthing mother sky goddess. She is your mother's pregnancy. So this is your gestation as a human fetus. Virgo, using the structures and the coding of the physical universe, converts energy to matter. These blueprints are very detailed and complicated, but they are unique to you. Your soul may still have the freedom to come and go into the astral plane to communicate with future family members and others you will meet along your path. Should your mission, this is very important here, be to physically expire during your gestation, miscarriage, termination, then you can re-enter energy of Scorpio and repeat, or transition back to the oneness of spirit. The reason these events happen is to catalyze transformation of one or both of the parents. Any planets here will speak to the conditions of your mother during your gestation. Here you transition from pure soul energy to an embodied physical form. The closer you get to your birth, the less and less you will come and go into the astral plane. So that's before you're even born. Isn't that powerful? That's just it. Because, the work I do, guys, I take care of pregnant women. The spirit babies, they're in there and they're out there. They come and go. The idea of getting pregnant, you talk to your child before you even get pregnant. Sometimes they introduce themselves to you. And so how could that possibly be explained? Robin Parker, the storm is way bigger than the naked eye or Doppler can see. Please evacuate. Angels have been, not sure what that means. We're good here. But thank you for the warning. So a couple of you are saying, I don't have any planets there. And that's okay. Like for Libra, for example, I don't have any planets there either. It could potentially mean that your karmic balance is actually in order. It would depend on what house it's in. You might have just come here just to experience. You might have come here to actually just serve. A lot of us are reincarnating here as fifth and sixth density beings that are trying to either walk in or be reincarnated here to help bring humanity to the next level of evolution. So that could be a case. So, that might be why you don't have anything in in the Libra space. So that's Virgo. And then we transition into a human being. And the transition from Virgo to Leo is the moment of birth on the charts that I look at. I say, okay, what's happening here? If you have a lot of things clustered around there, it could be speaking to the situation of your birth, the energies, the emotions, the vibrations around where you were born, when you were born, what was happening while you were being born. So it's a very interesting spot. As you move into Leo, you're a brand new, innocent human child. You still have your abilities and your memories, but you can't express it. You can't come and go from your physical space any longer. In Leo, you learn, fearlessly learn actually, to walk and talk and play. You learn to love and rely on your parents or caregivers for all of your physical needs. Here you play and express yourself freely without any regard of judgment. If your mission requires you to expire physically during these tender years, just as with Virgo energy, you have the choice to begin again or to return to the oneness of the Creator. Any planets here will describe not only the gifts you have since childhood, but also potentially any childhood trauma. As you become more focused on your physical self, the more your previous memories and abilities will recede into and to the conscious realms. So very important point here. And this speaks to, this kind of covers, what happens to souls if they pass away, the innocent souls. What happens to them? Where do they go? And it's my thought, my theory. I'm not saying it's anybody else's or that you should believe it, is that they have the option to, like their job was to catalyze something for someone else. So they get the option to go back to spirit or to recycle and do something else. Now we're in Cancer, and this is the phase where the spiritual development begins because the veil is securely in place. All memories and abilities are in hibernation. This is the beginning of your learning. Unless you have powerfully spiritual adults around you, which this is actually happening, okay? You you'll find in the coming generations that more and more children will be exposed to the spiritual energies and gifts as we move along. And they'll be a lot more powerful as adults than those of us that have, woken up a little bit later. But in general, Cancer energy is a time of learning how your thoughts and your feelings are affected by the world around you and how you affect others. So since you don't realize your spectacular origins, you don't realize that other embodied souls are also a part of you and source. This is the second death. You're literally cut off. Fully embodied and unaware, this is when our first memories are encoded into our mental neurons. Any planets here will help you access the divinity deep within you through intuition, but will also show you the lessons to overcome and to reach said divinity. Am I blowing your mind yet, guys? Let me know how I'm doing. Like the video. All right, Gemini. Now we're going clockwise still, guys. Remember, we've gone through Scorpio, we've gone through Libra, we've gone through Virgo, Leo, Cancer. We're now in Gemini. This is very much Mercury energy. I like Mercury in Libra because it's the soul contracts, and I like Venus in Virgo because that's the mother, that's the feminine mother energy caring for your brand new body. In Gemini, you're a physical machine, and Gemini energy gives you the programming that you need to function in this physical world. This is done through relationships with siblings, teachers, and friendships. These others in the physical world teach you the rules to ultimately function independently as you mature into an adult human. The programming you receive here is hard to unprogram because it starts so young. So once again, it's that influence. Are there very spiritually strong parents around these children? Right and wrong, good and bad, all receive their first inputs here, and they were ingrained into your subconscious. Any planets here will show you the embedded basic programming that your soul chose to have. They can also show you how you might have inappropriate programming that does inhibit your full development. All right, I'm going to show you my Gemini. Actually, I'm not going to show you my Gemini. I'll show you that later. But here's this person's Gemini. So they have a pretty uneventful childhood. But in Gemini, they've got their Sun and their Venus. So relationship energy, sensations of the world, expressing themselves. This is when that's going to awaken for them when they're in that programming phase. So the other polarity of Sun and Venus, right, is the taking other people's energy and then having an ego. So this might be somebody that among their young friends is more of a social vampire when they're young because they're taking it from other people. But then as they get older, they might be much more expressive. This is teacher energy. But this is ingrained deep in their subconscious. So anything that's in Gemini is programming. So now we've basically gone through sort of like the unembodied soul to the infant, to the child, to the young child, to the teenager. We're now kind of getting into that adult energy. And you can look at it like this is a life cycle, or you can look at it as a cycle of life. So if you're in a cycle, you can take it through this journey as well. An idea can go through this energy. We're in Taurus now. And this is where you have the first taste of independence. You get to choose what you want to experience and then decide if it's right for you, for your purpose, for your journey. Within the energy of Taurus, you experience the offerings of a physical life. Here you'll decide who to partner with, if and when you'll have children, how you make money, what you do with that life that you're given. Planets in Taurus will flavor your journey with lessons and gifts as well as wounds to the self-confidence. You decide your value here and what you want to experience from the physical life. And when you've done that, we've decided what you love and what you like and what you will and will not tolerate. This is where you achieve the knowing of who you really are and what you're supposed to do. You launch yourself into the physical realm, conquering, learning, and growing like the sapling emerging from the dark soil. You're truly independent here. All of your programming from Gemini and your experiences in Taurus coalesce into the adult you have finally decided to be. Any planets here will describe how you conquer and how you are defeated. As this phase of your life draws to its conclusion, you begin to feel a nagging sensation that this cannot possibly be all there is. I've got the family, the car, the house, the job, the group of friends. My family adores me, but there's something bigger. Something's missing. You are about to go through an awakening. And that, my friends, is what Pisces is. Okay? So Pisces, this is where the path gets tricky. This is a dark night of the soul and a spiritual awakening. And it takes place in the stars of Pisces. There's two fish swimming apart from one another. Your path diverges. This is usually precipitated by something unexpected. Think about it. You've got it all locked down in Aries and you're in charge, large and in charge. And then something happens. The world you thought you knew begins to change, and rapidly. Information you believed to be true your whole life is suddenly untrue. You barely even trust in your own five senses. Depression, loss of faith, and ego death are all common responses to this unexpected shift from Aries into Pisces energy. You will also spend a great deal of time alone in this phase. Many never find the strength to spiritually develop during this phase and return to an unfulfilled life until it is time to return to source or to repeat this life. However, many will go within and begin working with their latent abilities that they haven't used since childhood. Many will reconnect with source and receive downloads, channelings, and intuitive hits. The planets in Pisces will flavor the nature of your dark night of the soul and your spiritual awakening. Realigning your life with a spiritual purpose and faith are the keys to navigating the deep waters of Pisces. So, oh, we're not done. It keeps going. I hope you guys are doing okay. We're almost done. All right. So let's just pop it back into this chart real quick. This is my chart. I wanted to show you my Pisces. So what was my spiritual awakening? What was my dark night of the soul? Mine, my friends, was COVID. It was the sickness within the collective. And when my energy ran smack into Pisces, everything that I thought was true about the public health, the people that, the FDA, pharmaceutical companies, all of it, the medical establishment, it all just broke down for me, all of it. And so that's where my Chiron is. And so that's the thing I experienced. And in the 11th house, it's the collective. So I saw how all this falseness and all this fakeness was like hurting the collective, even though some of the collective didn't even know that they were being hurt or damaged. So there's my dark night of the soul, but also my great awakening, because I did spend a lot of time alone here. I just sat with spirit and I didn't get any inputs. I just, let the soul be guided for a while. And that was the key to coming out of it. Because once you come out of that energy of Pisces, you are in Aquarius. So once you're through that dark night of the soul and that spiritual awakening, other souls with similar experiences will be magnetized to your life. This is you guys. This is my YouTube family, my soul tribe on YouTube, my followers on Facebook, and my 14 followers on Rumble. You guys are those that are magnetized to me. Together, and these people that you find in your new soul tribe, they might be your family that you grew up with. That's cool. That's great. If that happens to you, you're a lucky person. But a lot of times the differences between what the person learns and what they grew up in, there's a discord there. And a lot of times you have to leave that behind and just keep it at arm's length so that you can be with your new soul tribe. So together we find a new way to perceive the world that encourages the development of spiritual gifts. You learn and grow together with and within this new tribe. These new souls, like I said, may be a part of your original human family, but be sure they've been with you before. So we've done this before. We've gone through this cycle of life, this life cycle together. Any planets here reveal the gifts and the lessons that you and your soul tribe are working through. And here you realize your mission is larger than any one individual. So now that you've got your soul tribe, you move into Capricorn. And this is where you and your new soul tribe co-create the best reality for accomplishing the mission that you all set out to do. And wonderful results are possible. New systems, new structures can be developed that can potentially create your legacy, that thing that you are remembered for. If the call from spirit during Pisces did not wake you up, what you might find instead is being in a dead-end job and counting down the days to retirement, or worse, plagued with physical problems that distract you and drain your energy. Any planets here will describe the potential for both scenarios. Crystallizing your vision is the goal within these stars. And then finally, you get to Sagittarius, and then we'll do Ophiuchus last. So in Sagittarius, this is the space of wisdom. Your life's goals have been accomplished, and the dirty little secret that all the pain and suffering you've been through wasn't necessary and is now revealed. It's like Dorothy at the end of The Wizard of Oz when she realized she's been in those damn shoes the whole time, and all she had to do was click her heels 3 times, and everything she wanted would have happened. But that's okay. The journey helped you. It wasn't so much the end of the journey, it was the journey itself. But once you get to this space, you can relax and release and have faith. And when you realize this, you see that the world around you is actually heaven on earth and was created for you. Almost everyone has to go through the trials and the lessons of life to realize this fact. This hard-earned wisdom lets you roam the world in full confidence that spirit is by your side. Any planets in Sagittarius will describe the final gifts and challenges you are entitled to before you leave this plane. And when your time comes to return to source and release your physical form once again, you will be ready. So Ophiuchus is the final death, but not in a bad way. The final death occurs here. When the time comes, your soul once again ascends and merges with source. In your final moments, you are free to come and go and until your body can no longer hold your life. So you visit the astral, you speak to spirits that have already gone on. And then you experience death. You feel the final physical ecstatic bliss of separating from the physical body. All the knowledge of your previous lives comes rushing into your awareness as you hover over your physical body. If you died expectedly or unexpectedly, you can stay individuated and replay the journey with some modifications, or you can choose to merge and return to source. Some of us choose to stay individuated for a little bit and communicate with the living before moving on to the next phase of our spiritual development. Any planets in Ophiuchus will describe how you connect with source and the energy that will guide you during your individuated and unembodied form through death and into your next birth. So the end of that story, a little bedtime story for you guys. So yeah, how does everybody feel about that? I really just, I downloaded that. I figured out that was how it just felt like it should go. After like a 3-day fast and really diving deep into the energy of Ophiuchus. I learned with somebody that, studies Ophiuchus intensely and deeply and in a spiritual way. And when I first started tapping into it, I actually went through a couple of spiritual attacks and some illnesses. It was very, very interesting. There's a lot of, well, that means if you don't have any planets in Ophiuchus, it's okay. You have the galactic center there. It's still your portal. It's a neutral energy if nothing's there. So it's just a phase for you. So you can come and go as you please. Whereas those of us that have like the North Node, I have to reach an evolutionary milestone before I can jump out, before I can take that door. So my evolutionary milestone is to realize that the savior is within me, because it's also in my 7th house. So I am trying to be my own savior. That's my journey. And I'm taking you guys with me. So, I hope y'all enjoyed that presentation. That's really all I have for you right now. Let me check the chats and see if you guys were... No comments in Rumble. That's okay. That's totally fine. I'm going to like my own video. There we go. So yeah, that's it. So, oh yeah. Donna, you said, this is a great story. It actually is. I'm working on this as a book. So I basically kind of read you, the intro and what the story will be, and the book will dive into it, and I'll go into a little bit more metaphysics with it too, to explain why it works, and to make sure that I'm not just like telling you a pretty story. There's energy behind it, there's frequency behind it, there's vibration behind it. So All right, you guys, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your time. I will probably be doing, let's see, I think I don't have any more videos planned for the rest of this week. I have a little bit of work to do. Next week, I'm going to get the full moon video ready. I'm going to get the Venus transits through Leo ready. That's going to be a good one. And then I think I'm going to be visiting someone's channel next week. Her name is Rebel Crone. She's a beautiful spirit who wants to empower women as they age and help them sort of, kind of really take on that mantle of wisdom keeper as they become older, but do it with style and do it with grace and in a healthy way. And so I'm going to be talking to her. So that should be pretty fun. I don't know when we're going to do that. It'll probably be next week. And then also we'll have an experts panel next week on Friday. That'll be live. And I think we're going to talk about responsibility. So spiritual energy and responsibility, those things go hand in hand. So anyway, yeah, you guys aren't getting rid of me so soon. We got lots of videos coming, lots of content coming, and of course, more lessons coming.